Hi, Sharon. Lovely to have you today. Would you like to introduce yourself and where you work and what you do?
Oh, Shirley, thank you for having me, Karen. I really appreciate it. So for anyone that doesn't know, my name is Sharon McNulty, and my business is Joyful Spaces. And I left a 31-year career as a health visitor and midwife and set up my own business as a professional organizer. So what started off as simple decluttering quickly evolved into something much, much more. I realized that there's more that's needed. It's not just the decluttering, it's not just about the stuff. And now I travel all over the world helping clients optimize and organize their home so that I suppose that it reaches the same level as they do in life.
Wow, brilliant. And do you have a typical client or are who do you typically support through the work? Has been all over the world. It must be very diverse and interesting.
Oh, it is. I have many, many clients from diverse range, diverse backgrounds. I have one young gentleman, he's in his 20s, and he's living in a psychiatric hospital. So we're helping him with one room, and he's actually doing really well. We're sort of giving him the life skills. Right up to I'm working with someone who sold their home for we help I suppose increase the value in homes, and she has sold her home for a couple of £1 million.
Wow,
And yeah, so we help her increase the value prior to the sale, and then
brilliant.
everybody in between.
Everything in between, brilliant. And I suppose we're joined or we've got connected through mutual contacts who are family carers and who are organising care and support for a loved one. Um, when you meet somebody for the first time in that space of the caring role, what are the most common challenges that you see?
Yeah, that's a huge one actually, and quite a few of the families that I've been working with have called me and they're almost fighting fires. They don't have time to look at their environment, and yet the environment is so, so important. The environment is needed to promote independence, dignity, and even safety, and of
Hmm.
course the well-being. So that's where I come in. I come in and I do an audit of the area to see what life is like for them. And
Hmm.
then we look at strategies and how to improve it. So we look at the systems that they have, we look at the day to day, how their life is running at the minute, and then how to make it easier, how to make it more streamlined for them. And which is okay if you have just family caring for them, but if you consider some of my clients have teams, so then
Hmm.
we want everybody to be doing the same thing for that person so that it doesn't matter who's caring for them, the care is going to look the same. It's going to be the highest standard and it's going to look the same.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I suppose that information and that continuity is so important for people, so that it's all, it's really all about them, that they're getting the highest quality and
Yeah.
as you say, the continuity, it looks exactly the same. That's brilliant. And I suppose coming from that, then the reality that carers face, they often, I suppose, carry a lot of information in their head, and I suppose, how do you help them get that out of their head? But what impact can that do for them over time if they're not, I suppose, dealing with that? Or at what point do you meet them?
Yeah, and these families, a lot of them are in the same situation. Generally, one or two people within that setting it carries everything to do with their loved one, and it's a heavy load. That really is. I know some of the mums would have said to me, "I know everything about my child, but what happens whenever I'm not here? Who's
Yeah.
going to look after them?" And that's huge. That's absolutely huge. So what we are doing for many of them are we're trying to actually get that down somewhere, out of their head and down. And then once we have it written out in whatever form, then we look to see, can we do things a wee bit easier? Is there an easier way of doing it that doesn't take up as much energy, physical or mental? And then, as you and I were talking about, to see how we can then share that with the team or the family or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's huge, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose that's how we met. It was about through looking at technology or different resources that we can pull together to make sure that that knowledge is safe and shared.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I find when we started talking about the app originally, on the first week, one of the family members said, this is a game changer for my mental health. And that to me was like such um, a reinforcement that we were on the right path, and even though that was only the first week
yeah.
of using it, so that was huge for us. And you've touched on the firefighting, I suppose. Why have you any insight, having met numbers or numerous carers? Why do we let that happen? Is it
I
just that we?
Well, I don't think it's a let it happen. I think it's just how life is. Life, as I see it, as somebody coming in with a new set of eyes, life is so busy nowadays. You add in the typical day-to-day living, you add in the deliveries that are coming in, the appointments that there are, the different members of the team that are coming in, and very quickly, what starts off as a family can often look to be a business. It kind of the same, it really is so busy. And yet a lot of these families aren't set up for that. They're just not, they just want to care for their loved one. They absolutely do. But there's so many demands in them. And that can very quickly turn into overwhelm. Now, a
Mhm.
couple of the clients that I have worked with have maybe come home from hospital and maybe were mobile prior to their admission, but came home maybe because they were recovering and they couldn't go up the stairs or they couldn't do the things that they normally do. So it may be totally outside their control, outside the norm, and yet there's so much demands put on them to try and make it work whenever their environment doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, yeah. And you forget about having a recent experience of Georgia having to live downstairs. Our front room became a ward, really. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
And that's hard to navigate because there's safety issue there because you think, oh, I'll just set these medicines here and I'll just set this equipment here because you know it's only temporary or you hope it's only temporary. But then what happens is it becomes a safety issue, maybe a tripping hazard, or it can very quickly become overwhelming and quite cluttered. And that's what you don't want. I suppose that's whenever I come in, I look at it and say, okay, what can we do just to make this a wee bit easier?
yeah, brilliant. And when you're saying about getting organized, is there, and well, two things: can you be organized and still feel overwhelmed? If are they do they live together? I suppose, and is there a difference between being organized and feeling in control?
Well, you can, as you find you're getting more and more organized, the overwhelm tends to come down quite substantially, actually. But don't forget, there's still everyday life coming at you. So there's things outside your control. So you can still feel that element of overwhelm. As you were saying, Karen, I know as clients start to put what's in their mind, what's in their head down on paper and try to put a wee bit of organization around that, a wee bit of system in it, it can reduce that so much. And then if you look at just simply organizing their environment, my goodness me, the difference can make, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing the difference it can make.
Yeah, I can imagine. I wonder, for me, are people good at keeping it then maintaining it when it's organized? Do you find that people slip back into bad habits, or is
Well,
it
you
they're
see,
so happy that it's done that they're more careful?
oh, 100% the more careful. So what we tend to do is we'll not always get it right first time. And that's the same if somebody's organized it on their own. It won't click straight away. So what I would say is once you organize that space, and think about how your day to day runs smoothly. And then the important things start with organizing that first. And then once you get everything in that area, the way that you feel you'd like it, stand back and think, right, okay, what's working well for me? What needs to change? So don't be afraid of tweaking things, changing things ever so slightly. And if you find maybe life's got busy or something's happened, it isn't a failure to go back a step. That's absolutely no problem. But you will find if you've organized it well at the start, it definitely will be easier to maintain. So it's not a failure if you it gets messy again. It's just set some time on your timer and just retweak it again, and you'll find it won't take much. It really won't take much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Um, what's the smallest step if somebody's feeling kind of overwhelmed today and they're listening to this? What's the smallest step that they can take to get back to feeling a bit more um organized and probably feeling a bit more in control?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The first thing I would say is just tackle one aspect. So it might be the medication cupboard. It might be the medication area. It doesn't matter what it is, or it might be the bathroom. And just do that. Don't worry about what the rest of the space looks like or what else is still needing. Do the one area and do it the best you possibly can. And don't worry that it's going to take time. I liken this to weeding your garden. If you only ever take the tops off the weeds, it's going to come back really quickly. You
Yeah.
want to do it properly. You want to take it out from the roots, and it will last so much longer and it'll be so much easier to keep. So tackle the one area and possibly even the one area that's annoying you the most, because you'll get that dopamine hit of, oh wow, this is amazing. And that'll keep the momentum going. So one area, do it really well, stand back and see what it's like, retweak it if need be. And then even if you can just maintain that one area while you do the next space, that'll be brilliant.
Yeah. And do you find that when people in a family home that are supporting carers in their home, do you feel that once they get that first space done, that that's a motivator
Mhm.
for the rest of the house? Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's actually lovely to see, Karen, because there's that sense of achievement. There's that self of, oh my goodness, this is going to make such a difference to my life. And it does. What may not look like much to somebody else, they know that that's going to make such a difference. It really is. Even the fact of if there's a lot of equipment in the house, thinking, okay, which piece of equipment do it, storing them all together, first of all, find the space for it, and then thinking, okay, which piece of equipment I use the most, and having that the handiest. So
Hmm.
logically think through what would make my day run easier. And
Yeah.
then that's what you do. So, and then have it in that order. I was working with a lovely family, and we have even there was a lot of stuff in cupboards, and of course, then people just add more and more stuff to it, and that's just what happens. So we removed absolutely everything, and we put in what that person would need for a week. And then
Okay.
every Sunday, it's somebody's responsibility to add enough for the next week, and we've worked out how much they would need for each week. It's a game changer. It means that there's less clutter.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And then there's that cycle of that continuity as well. If somebody's responsible on the Sunday
Yeah.
to make sure that the it's replenished to
Yeah.
the right
Mhm.
level. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing. And I suppose we know through life that many of our families that we support through our respective jobs that there's so much unpredictable things that come up. How do you encourage people to balance the structure and the planning with the curveballs that I suppose that people receive in life?
Yeah, and they're inevitable too, those curveballs. But if you have a lot of your day-to-day running smoothly, it means whenever the curveballs come, it's not as big a hit. You have some sort of capacity, I suppose, mental capacity
Yeah.
to deal with that. But there's a lot that you can organize and be ready for. Even thinking maybe somebody goes to a day center during the day or a hospital appointment or the swimming. It doesn't really matter. And you think, okay, you don't want to run around just before, say, they're going swimming and put a bag together. We would actually have everything that that person needs together in one drawer or already in a bag. so that as soon as you know that that person's going swimming, you have it out the night before. So, and the same with hospital appointments, etc. It's getting planning the night before, it's getting prepared the night before that'll take the overwhelm out of the next day whenever things get busy and maybe that curveball comes.
Yes, yeah, you've already the work done, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and do you see when you're talking and seeing a lot of family carers, is there something in common that we probably put energy into that we don't need to put energy into? Or do you spot any patterns among us family carers and how we approach life?
No, I don't think there's anything that comes to mind. What I do see is as family carers, passion, real drive to want improvements to make not only that person's life so much easier, but the family life gel so much smoother, I suppose.
Mm.
And that's really what I know any of the families that I have worked with really come on board with this. They know they want life so much easier. And so once we get started in this, my goodness, Karen, the difference is amazing. And you were saying earlier, do they tend to revert back? They really want this to stay. They know the difference this makes. They know it makes life so much easier for them. So they are absolutely all in with it. They really are.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that probably leads us on really well to our next question or point that we were talking about earlier as well, as caring really rarely happens in isolation. It's you were saying it's either a team or it's a family home.
Yeah.
And I suppose how do you? I know that we struggle with that sometimes when particularly our other kids are off school. It's their home, but it's still the workplace for George's PAs. So we do and they're brilliant at, the PAs are brilliant at blending in and not encroaching in the family space. But at times it does get a bit busy and congested. That's just the reality that if there's a lot of us in the house at the one time, um, how do you see that? And I suppose your systems and structures probably help.
Oh, definitely. And this is no matter which house I would go into is exactly the same. Um, it's really just creating a nook, an area for family, and then the PAs or the carers then understanding that there are boundaries. And again, your families will know this 100%. They really will, Karen. But even if you have one area where it's just for the family, and that means they're not worried then that the PAs or the carers will be knocking on the door to come in to do whatever. It is hard to get that balance, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I suppose it's something we're always conscious of, but the reality is that it's what we need, it's what Georgia needs, and that's
Yeah.
what we kind of settle at, and we all know on the if there is the odd bumpy day that
Yeah.
in the round this is the best for her, so this is what part of that sacrifice or part of that investment and too. Um, I
Yeah,
would
I
say,
I must just say there, Karen, sorry. I know if you have, as a parent, have a space or somebody in the family has a really beautifully calm Zen space that you can retreat to, should it be your bedroom?
Mhm.
Somewhere where you can just breathe and go, right, okay, I know the PAs have got this now. This is my time. That's huge too. And I know some of the families that I would have worked with would have said, having that bedroom that's calm, that's organized, that's a joy to go into will make such a difference. So it doesn't matter where it is in the home, as long as you have a space then just where you can just say, no, nobody's coming in here. This is my space.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
Hmm.
Um, and probably something where carers tend to do a lot. And I'm meeting Jackie tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about the invisible job in caring, because there's so much that you do that nobody will ever see. So I think having that space that's just for you is a really good tip. Um, but it's kind of the next point leads from that. I mean, we're not very good at asking for help, because we do so much naturally. Um, we tend to ask for help when we're absolutely at the
Yeah.
end of our tether. Do you find that when people come to you that they're
But by the very fact, I think part of the reason for that, Karen, is you know everything about this person. And so for you to then ask for help, you have to start explaining this is what we do and this is what, and that can feel, oh my gosh, it's just easier to do it. So I think there's an element of that to it. And as we were talking about, putting it down on paper, starting the process now. Think of one, think of one area that maybe medicines or um, um, I suppose the bathing or doesn't really matter, feeding, and starting to think, okay, what do I have in my head that I can share with somebody else, and starting that process now of writing it down. And then it's so much easier to ask for help whenever you have a step by step by step to follow. You don't have to then gather up all the energy to explain, okay, I want help, but this is why I want help.
yes, yes,
So it makes it so much easier. You're almost paving the way, and then you can easily ask for help so much. But you're right. It's normally whenever you think I can't go any further, I need some help whenever people do ask.
yeah. And I suppose we met through mutual families. I suppose families that are using the inCharge app and families that are uh, using your services to get organised as well. And I suppose it's a question we both believe. I think technology has a role to
Oh,
play, but you're always thinking of the smartest and the most
easiest way.
yeah, and
I know.
that's funny how that's how we approach the app as well. So, um, you and people that are nervous about tech, what would you say to them?
Oh my goodness, Karen, I am a technophobe. I am not technically minded at all. So what I do, and I suppose this is a good opportunity to explain what there is for families there. One of the things I help clients with is putting what they know down on paper, but then it's onto an app called Gamba Docs. And strangely enough, this was not set up for carers. Gamba Docs, I went on a factory tour of all things for a factory that were doing things really efficiently and with productivity. And I saw they used a system where they wrote out, standardized everything they were doing, and they wrote it down, and then they made it even simpler by putting QR codes on a piece of equipment. I would open my phone and see this is how I work my piece of equipment. So for anybody there, say your oven, say you've PAs or carers and that work the oven, and they have to keep asking you, how do you work the oven? How do you work the oven? What I help them do is write down a list, and they can do this easily themselves. Write down a list of, you turn this knob, this knob, this knob. You can put videos in it, you can put photographs in it, write a wee bit below it. And then it means that anybody who wants to use the oven just opens that QR code, and step by step by step they see. So that's what I do. And it's a thing called Gamba Docs. As I say, it's set up for factories, but I've asked and I'm not in commission or anything, but this is by far the best thing I've seen for writing those standardized lists. And because it's very easy to change whenever things change. So I then went back to the person who had built this and I said, I love this, absolutely love it. Would it be possible to do for carers, for families, for PAs? So he's actually doing that and trying to work alongside yourself with the inCharge app, Karen, so that there's no overlapping, so that um, straight away, I suppose my reasoning behind it is if somebody was to start with your family as a PA or a carer, initially they'll have induction, of course, but then we want there to be an easy way for them to keep doing it right, keep doing every task right. And this is where the Gamba Docs comes into its own. Every single thing that you would have taught them is put down on paper and video on photograph using this app. And then it's so easy for them to follow it. And it means the standards are always high and they're always followed the way that you want. So it's
Yeah,
amazing.
brilliant. Yeah, and I often think back to a young lad in England who it was his thing was about the hoist training. People do the hoist training. It's a standard um, training, but for him, he likes to be lifted in a particular way, because it's painful for him to be lifted just as the standard way. And I think that would be really helpful for him that the staff saying this is, yeah, okay, you've done the standard, but that doesn't really work for me. This is how
Yeah.
it needs to work for me. And that's consistent, as you say, across
Yeah.
whoever's involved in his care. Yeah, it's brilliant. And I suppose we're keen. We're talking to Tom later today, so hopefully we can collaborate and integrate the two systems. That would be lovely. I think having the daily updates and having those procedures online, I think it would be really helpful.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
love that. It's using technology to its best to make
yeah,
life so much easier, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, and it just needs to do what it says in the tin. I think that was the other thing. Yeah.
No extra steps, no faffing about. Just do it as easy as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And we're going to put this content out over Carers Week. Um, what if you could give somebody a tip today, um, to lighten their load? What would it be?
Oh, first of all, take the pressure off yourself. If you're the one that's doing everything, there's only one of you. Delegate what you can. And I know that's hard because you have all this information, all this knowledge. Delegate what you can safely and easily do so. And then just start making notes on the different parts of your life that you want to standardize, that you want to everybody to be doing the same thing. And then just start making it. Just start with those lists. And anybody who's coming into your sphere really will start then and read through those lists. They really will and start to follow it.
Yeah, brilliant. And families can get in touch with you. You work one-to-one with families, and I believe you do workshops as well, Sharon.
I do, I do. I know I try to cover as many avenues as possible and for as many budgets as possible. So I work one to one, and what we do is we tend to organize and optimize the space so that it flows better. And then if they want help, then to set up those systems. That's something that I'm doing for quite a few families at the moment. And as I say, then I'll help do the Gamba docs, set them up so that, and then we're even training the staff on how to follow them. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose your previous job or your nursing's a really a vocation, I would say,
Yeah.
and that really aligns lovely. I think that you've moved into that.
Perfect. And it didn't, I never thought I'd ever leave. I loved what I did. I loved it so much. But this I felt was a way that I could help people in a different way, completely different way. And now to marry the two is just beautiful. Absolutely great. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, delighted that we've our paths have crossed, and I'm sure they'll cross many times again. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Sharon, for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much for having me on. And if anybody wants to contact me, it's hello@joyfulspaces.co.uk.
Perfect. We'll put that in the comments as well when we're
Thank
putting
you.
out anything. So
Thank you.
thank you so much.
It was a joy. Thank you, Karen.